just in time. I found you just in time. Before you came, my time was running low. I was lost, the losing dice were tossed. My bridges all were crossed, nowhere to go. Now you're here, now I know just where I'm going. No more doubt or fear, I found my way. For love came just in time. You found me just in time and changed my lonely life that lucky day. Now you're here, now I know just where I'm going. No more doubt or fear, I found my way. For love came just in time. You found me just in time and changed my lonely life that lucky day.
This old song, I felt it needed a little update, and so halfway through it, you'll hear updated the song a little bit. One of the great classics. And I will update it a little to the modern technology of the day. No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you, baby. I know for certain the one that I love. I'm through with flirting, it's just you that I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere. Oh, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't go out much, honey. Don't care to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my DVD video. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for. Loving, and I'm telling you, my darling, I'm saving all my love for you. Yeah.
Something in your kiss just told me my sometime is now. Everybody finds somebody someplace. There's no telling where love may appear. Something in my heart keeps saying my someplace is here. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charm. Then every minute, every hour, every boy would find what I found in your arms. Everybody loves somebody sometime. And although my dream was overdue, your love made it well worth waiting for someone like you. If I had it in my power, I would arrange for every girl to have your charm. Every boy would find what I found in your arms. Everybody loves somebody sometime. And although my dream was overdue, your love made it well worth waiting for someone like
soy tan solo uno de los dos polos de esta historia, la mitad. Apenas medio elenco estable, una de las dos variables en esta polaridad. Más y menos, y en el otro extremo de esa línea estás tú. Mi tormento, mi fabuloso complemento, mi fuente de salud. Deseo, mire donde mire te veo, mire donde mire te veo, mire donde mire te veo. Igual que hace millones de siglos en un microscópico mundo distante se unieron dos células cualquiera. Instinto, dos seres distintos, amándose por vez primera.
A man of strength, courage, and determination. He came into this world and he conquered. Life was his challenge. Family was his devotion, debonair yet humble, and a great mate to all, generous and compassionate, a role model to be admired. If you knew Joe, you were very lucky. He showed you interest and respect, his aura shone so bright. What a sad day for all of you when the family had to say goodnight. With a twinkle in his eye, he breathed his final breath. His cheeky smile subsided, his heart now at rest. It's all going to be okay, over and out. Before we begin our celebration for the life of Joe, can I please ask everyone if they can ensure that your mobile phones have been switched off? As you entered, you may have noticed Matthew Flinder's home care envelopes. Joe supported and helped so many worthy community organisations over his lifetime. However, having only recently utilised Matthew Flinder's home care services personally, his family are so grateful for their wonderful efforts and also for their wonderful care that was given to Joe. The night carers, palliative care carers, and the wonderful support staff. And if you would like to make a donation to enable them to simply continue their work in Joe's honour, it would be greatly appreciated. Following this tribute, Dorothy, Joseph, Suzanne, David, and their families wish to invite you to celebrate Joe's life, sharing stories of happy and memorable times spent with him at the Port Lincoln Hotel, upstairs in the ballroom from 12:30 to 1 o'clock onwards. To enjoy some food, raise a glass and have a drink and truly celebrate his wonderful life. After this service also, a private family burial will take place, as requested by the family, but they do look forward in seeing you all later at the hotel. Welcome everybody, my name is Chris Jenkins, and together with David Williams, and also a warm welcome to all that are viewing this service via Unity Hill live stream. Today I am honoured to be here today to assist all of Joe's loving family, to share a tribute and a celebration for the life of their loved husband, their cherished dad, father-in-law, adored granddad and nonno, and cherished great-nonno, Joe Puglisi. Tiger, as so many people also knew him. I'm sure that it would be Joe's wish that you truly celebrate his life, and today it is so important that you honour his wishes. While everyone here today wishes that this event simply wasn't happening, sadly Joe passed away peacefully at the Port Lincoln Hospital Wednesday, June the 25th. He was aged 87 years. He was a loved husband to Dorothy, cherished dad and father-in-law to Joseph and Anne-Marie, Diane, deceased, Suzanne and Robert, David and Lindley, Christopher, deceased, and Carolyn. Adored granddad and nonno to his grandchildren and his great-great-grandchildren. A well-known gentleman who was loved and respected by his family and all that simply knew him. While Joe's diagnosis and illness has been ongoing, his life ended very quickly. Joe remained very brave and stoic. He was so lucky to have time with his loving family, who he simply adored. Joe's family acknowledged and thanked the palliative care team, Matthew Flinder's nursing home care, for their loving care that was given to Joe. He was treated with the utmost care, respect, and most importantly, he did not lose his dignity. Knowing Joe personally and his family, as so many people do, Joe wouldn't want today to be a totally sad time, and I'm sure that if he was here, he would wish for this event to be a pure celebration. A true celebration of his life, a time to recall all the fabulous and funny and happy and memorable times that you have spent with him. So today for Joe, everyone must acknowledge his wishes. We must remember him for the man that he was, and we give thanks and to truly celebrate his life. valuing the impact that he has simply had on everybody, who simply had the privilege of knowing him. And while everyone will do their best to honour Joe, we also recognise the feelings of loss, the feelings of grief and pain that now we experience, that he is no longer here. He will be missed, most especially by his loving family. Life won't be the same without his wisdom, his laughter, travelling holidays, fishing trips, boating, and especially all the achievements and all of his funny stories that match with it. Everyone here today has simply had their lives touched, perhaps in the tiniest way, or perhaps totally transformed by Joe's existence. He wouldn't be here otherwise. In a simple term, his life mattered. As much as Joe would want everyone to remember him kindly without sorrow, we still feel the pain of losing him, knowing that he will not be in our daily lives anymore. But whenever, or if you believe in an afterlife, that we are now comforted that Joe will simply surround all of us. Sadly, he's now just out of sight. Hopefully, or possibly, he'll be just over there, and he will always be a peace in our hearts and in our memories, just for Joe. We'll remember all the times that we have laughed, the times that we have cried, the caring and the generosity that he has given, and the joy that now has simply been shared. It's also very important for us to acknowledge and to accept that something fundamental has now changed our lives now that he has gone. Life will not be the same, and life shouldn't ever be the same. Today we have the opportunity to honour Joe's very essence and to reflect on the influence that he has made on so many people's lives. Joe has been the much loved and best friend and soulmate of Dorothy for 58 very special years. He was a loving dad to his children, Joseph, Suzanne, David, and Christopher. He was simply their role model and their mentor. A much cherished and respected father-in-law of Anne-Marie, to Diane, Robert, Lindley, and to Carolyn. And Joe was a very proud and devoted granddad and nonno to his cherished great-nonno, to all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But now his memory will now live on in all of them forever. Joe was dearly loved by his family members, and Joe was a special and loyal friend to so many people here in Port Lincoln and beyond, as you can clearly see. He was a community man. He was hard-working, he was committed, and he was very caring. His community families and work colleagues, and his generous involvement here in Port Lincoln. His very close group of mates that are now gone before us. These mates will miss him dearly, and I'm sure the Cappuccino Club members are awaiting him to greet him with the Neptune as well. Joe was with us for just 87 very special years, but each and every one here knows very well that he's crammed a massive lifetime of living and making memories for everyone to keep. He was a man who simply loved his family. He loved his floating toys, his travelling, in his place here in Port Lincoln. While everyone will have their own very special memories of Joe and time spent with him. I'd now like to invite Brian Jeffries to come forward, please.
First of all, those are beautiful words. I couldn't have put it better myself at any stage. Just to Dorothy and the family, we'll miss him hugely, as you can imagine. He was, as much as you can ever say about an individual, you were his foundation, Dorothy. Never forget that. You were his rock. You were his compass in life. I've seen many mornings in Tokyo at 3 o'clock in the morning where the discussion was about what will Dorothy think, rather than the last offer the Japanese put on the table or whatever it may be. It's a rare bond. It's special, etc. What do you say about this man? Or what do you say about the family or whatever it may be? It's special. He had a way about him with politicians. He had a way about him with governments. He had a way about with the Japanese. Now, these are rare talents, and the Australian industry and Australia itself has benefited hugely from it. He also had a rare talent for putting people at peace, even though these were very difficult periods, etc. And he felt humiliated sometimes with the receiverships, etc. His mind was always, what will my family and what will the community think? It's something, that trust put in him almost uniquely by politicians, ministers, by the Japanese, is something that we could all wish for, and just I've never seen an Australian industry person achieve that. And I just wanted to emphasise not just what he achieved in, the pioneering of his part of tuna farming or whatever it may be. It's really that broader impact he had. And to some extent I said the same about Mick Puglisi. They, as difficult as they could be, they were pioneers in terms of fisheries management in Australia and now in the world. When the whole idea of quotas was dreamt up by Joe and the then Minister John Kerrin, etc. It's that broader appeal which will, when history's written, he will get a lot of credit for it because he was able to think that broadly. Now why? I could never pin it down. And it was the same with the Japanese. We were slick talking, but Joe had a way of, with them, of cooperating, of having credibility. It's again, you can't say anyone's unique, or it's difficult to say they're rare. But this was a human being who connected with people. I was always stunned how he connected with the people who worked for him, whether it was everyday connection, remembering their name, caring about their family or whatever it may be. It was almost unique in my broad experience of dealing with those types of things, etc. Memorable times, as I said, there's a lot said about the development of tuna farming, the rescue of Port Lincoln, etc. At 3 o'clock one morning, after relentless daily 3 o'clock every morning negotiations with the Japanese, we weren't getting through. I certainly wasn't getting through. Joe suddenly developed this one-page drawing of how our operations with the Japanese would in the future work, including the development of tuna farming. He gave to them. I doubted whether it would have any impact, but they were mesmerised. Finally, you Australians understand what we're on about. It was something, he had that connection, as I say, with Canberra, Tokyo, and obviously in Port Lincoln. I just say this all came, and many of you in the room can associate that with, Port Lincoln, in my global experience, is a unique place, uniquely challenging for families, uniquely challenging for not just farming of tuna or whatever it may be, But, you know, when people say to me, I've worked 40 nights straight on prawning and things like that, I'd say, well, what price did you get? They'd glance at me and just say, well, that's not the issue. I made this for my family, or I made it for the community, etc. And when he first started to make some money and put a lot of money into property development in Port Lincoln, and that shopping centre's still there, etc., it was really a reflection of the man. I want to give back. I want to give back to Port Lincoln, because he came here in sailing a boat which shouldn't have even left Ulladulla, let alone come all that way to Port Lincoln. The Japanese always say to me that the Great Australian Bight is the roughest country in the world. It's relentless, it's unforgiving, etc. But somehow these people knew no fear. He was part of something which was just unique and special, and I hope, as I say, when history is written, that will all come out. The friendships he made for life, I think, as was mentioned, the Cappuccino Club, but it's much more than that. Joe had a way about him of keeping things on side. If you think about it, these Middle European countries and Germany had been, and particularly Italy, had been fighting with one another for 2,000 years in Europe. And suddenly the most aggressive of them, probably, come to Port Lincoln and somehow they can get on with one another. And not only get on with one another at that time, but also get on with one another till almost the day he, in Joe's case, died. And one thing I always appreciated, and I learned from him, was this respect for safety. I mean, I grew up in an era when a lot of people just didn't come home, and it was somehow sometimes seen as, oh, well, that was the way it should be, that's the macho way it should be, etc. That's what fishing's about. What Joe and Hagen and others introduced was just get your act together. You know, people need to come home, they deserve to come home. So it's that bigger impact, continuing impact, which I think will be respected deeply in not just Canberra, but Japan and the whole areas that Joe operated in. So it's that broader impact that I think history will give him the greatest credit. In terms of people and his company, I just want to read something from one of the tributes on Facebook. I know Facebook's not always popular with people, particularly parents and things like that. But this was one so sad to hear about the passing of a great leader. Emphasis on that. Joe was a kind, generous and caring boss. I always treasured the time I spent working with him and the guidance he offered. His legacy will live on, and may he rest in peace, Mr. Puglisi. That was the depth of respect for this guy. And he could be a hard man, but always fair, is what I can say. He delivered to Port Lincoln. His heart was here. Port Lincoln's probably the toughest place I've seen in the Southern Hemisphere to be successful, raise children, have a continuity in life or whatever it may be, etc. So all I can say, Joe, is farewell. It was terrific knowing you, and I think we all learned a lot. Thank you.
And thank you, Brian. We're now going to hear a voice recording that's played from Carolyn, Christopher's wife, Amelia and Jada.
The impacts that Dad had on our lives was immense. Nonna and then father figure to Emily and Jada after the loss of their own dad, and father figure to me. He was and will continue to be one of the most wonderful role models in our lives. His dedication to family, his example, his compassion, his loyalty, his bravery and his tenacity were immense. Dad was open-minded, sincere, warm and never held a grudge. I even heard him say on occasion when his beloved football team lost that it was because the other team played better. He was very fair and very loyal.
As a father figure, Nonna empowered us and encouraged us to pursue our heart's desires and showed up with interest and pride to cheer us on from the sidelines. A quote that he loved was, "If it is to be, it is up to me." He always reminded us of the responsibility we have in the outcome of our own lives, using his own life as an incredible example. Nonna's love and care for us and all of his grandchildren were present in every interaction. Of all of Nonna's achievements, the most important are the relationships that he formed, a true reflection of how much he cared for people and how much of himself he was willing to give to those that he cared for. He will live long in our minds and our hearts and will continue to be an inspiration to us.
Now I'd like to invite if the girls could all come forward.
Warm, welcoming and loving. This is how Leela Perry and I were welcomed into the family, and this is what comes to mind when I think of Dad. He built so much out of so little. From loss and hardship, he created a family, a business and an empire. He was remarkable, an inspiring and resilient man who showed us all what strength and determination looked like. Dad's openness and generosity and love were boundless. Whenever we were with him, we felt it deeply. His joy at seeing us made us feel so special in ways that he and Mum will never fully realise. I've always enjoyed fishing. It was something I did with my own dad. It was also a passion I shared with Dad. So when he asked Joe and I to go crabbing, I thought it would be a lovely way to spend a few hours out on the water, waiting for the crabs to swim into the net. But those of you who have been crabbing with Dad, you will know it was anything but relaxing. It was more like a boot camp. No sooner had you dropped in the nets, 5 of them, than Dad was back at the first. Quicker, pull it up faster, quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All that with that teasing glint in his eye that he is enjoying the day. These are the precious memories that we will hold in our hearts. This is a tremendous loss for us all, but we take comfort in knowing that he is finally free from the struggles of the past few years, and we will always hold him with much fondness and love in our hearts.
Hi, my name is Kimberly, Joe's granddaughter, and I'm reading this on behalf of my dear Nana Dorothy. Joe and I met when we were about 17. We were introduced by Joe's sister Nolly, who I worked with at a local chemist. Joe would think of excuses to come into the chemist. His first purchase from me was a comb. Our romance started. Joe would say, "I will save you a seat at the movies." We would also meet at the local beaches. My family took Joe in, and this is where Joe learnt his love of good food. Mum and Dad loved Joe so much. He was now part of our family. We were married November 16, 1957. I remember it being a very hot and windy day. We spent our honeymoon at Nelson's Bay. Joe was very busy fishing. We welcomed Joseph and Suzanne while living in Ulladulla. Joe was travelling further in his pursuit of fish. Mickey and Joe decided there was more opportunity in Port Lincoln, where they had travelled for the tuna seasons. Off we all head to our new life in South Australia. It wasn't easy leaving our families behind. Luckily, we moved next door to the beautiful McClure family who gave me the support I needed. We welcomed David and Christopher in Port Lincoln. Our family was now complete. Life with Joe has never been dull. There was always visitors, events, and something happening in our lives. We had many ups and downs and worked through all these together the best we could. We shared many exciting and satisfying times together. Joe was a mighty force. Joe and his connections, we met many lifelong friends. Life has always been rewarding and at times devastating, but that is life. I have always tried to be Joe's sounding board, support, and woman alongside the man. I was so proud when Joe was recognised with an OAM for all the effort and contribution he made towards Port Lincoln and the fishing industry at large. I admired his caring nature and how he tried to help people in need, something he could relate to. Joe was never boastful. He made people feel comfortable and rewarded those who deserved his gratefulness. I have been so blessed to have shared such a wonderful life with Joe by my side. My life without my dear husband will never be the same. I will miss our routine and our love. I am left with wonderful memories. I love you, Joe. Dorothy. This piece is by myself. My dearest Grandad, I struggle to think you're no longer present with us. There are no words to really express what an incredible person you were. You truly left an amazing legacy and touched so many lives. You were kind, caring, generous, and were always thinking of others. You loved fishing, boats, the crows, your fruit trees, Pastor, Dean Martin, your friends, your community, but most of all, you loved us so much. Not only us, but all your family back home in New South Wales and Canberra. Your family was everything to you. We always felt loved and knew how much you cared about us all. As a kid, I remember coming out to the factory. You were always so happy to see us. You would wrap your arms around us and give us the biggest hug and sit us on your lap. Growing up, our childhood was spent going out on your boats, fishing, going to the tuna farms, swimming, family get-togethers and going away. As a kid, I loved spending time with my family and still today. It was and is simply the best. You made all this possible, Grandad. We were fortunate enough to go on some amazing holidays with you, and even though you only had one eye, it didn't stop you from going on all the rides with us. You always made sure we had a good time, even while trying to hold your glass eye in. One trip we spent a week on one of your boats that had just arrived in Sydney. We enjoyed the week getting the boat set up and going along the Hawkesbury River. I had such a great time. You always supported us in everything we did, sports, school, careers and hobby. You were always on the sidelines or watching from the car. You gave us pep talks, pointers and told us tactics. We started up the Bluefin Juniors basketball team and you loved to come and cheer us on. Grandad's favourite player was a teammate of mine, which he nicknamed her Coat Hanger. I think the name Coat Hanger speaks for itself. Coat Hanger was determined, wasn't there to muck around, played rough, played with passion, and was also a lot of fun, most of the time crying, laughing. Coat Hanger thought the name was hilarious. She would always ask how Grandad was, and Grandad never forgot about Coat Hanger. He would always bring her up, even until this year, asking me where Coat Hanger was and what she was up to. Coat Hanger messaged me this last week sending her love to us all, and said what a lovely man you were. Even later on, when I come out of college and moved back home after finishing my studies and got a job, Grandad was one of my first clients. He was always supportive. I always admired his love for Nana, always making sure she was okay, and if for some reason he couldn't get hold of Nana, he would ring to see if any of us knew where she was and was she okay. Or when he would head off to the office, he would always say, "Kids, look after Nana, would you?" He would always hug and kiss her hello or goodbye. She was his rock as he was hers. Grandad never liked to be late, and if you were on duty to take him to the airport, you had to be there at least 2 hours early. No excuse. And if you weren't there, without a doubt, you would get a call, maybe 2 or 3 times, just in case you forgot the first time. I remember one day getting that call. "Where are you? You're late." "I'm just pulling into the driveway," I said. Luckily, we only lived a few minutes away. Grandad was always ringing or FaceTiming us to see how we were or what we were up to, sometimes even checking in a couple times to a few times a day. As long as we were happy, busy, healthy and working hard, he was happy. About a month ago, my daughter Amani came home from school telling me about a piece she had been writing at school about who was an inspiration to her. I asked her who it is, and her answer was, "Nonna, of course." Later that night, I read the piece and was filled with so much pride and joy that she had written this piece on him. I could tell just how proud and inspired she was by him, and without a doubt, she got an A for this. Not only has he made such an impact on her life, she wrote it from the heart. Through all his hardships in life to all the wonderful things he did for his community and providing people with opportunity. Her next part in this subject is to cook us a 3-course meal for the family these holidays. She asked me your dietary requirements as she wanted you to be able to eat the meal. However, later that afternoon was the last time she said goodbye to you for the final time. This week we will have that meal in honour of you. We will celebrate you and remember all the wonderful times we had together. There wasn't a day Grandad wouldn't be thinking of us. When he would come home from the office, he would ring me and say, "Kimberly, I'm coming past. Are the kids hungry?" He would stop in and go to the shop, have a sneaky bucket of chips while the kids would get ice creams. He would tell the kids, "Don't tell Nonna about the chips." They came home and straight away they would dob. Nonna's eating hot chips again. Grandad was always thinking of others. There was one time Grandad was in the RA in Adelaide, and also one of his mates, Angelo, was there. And then although they couldn't go and see each other, Grandad got my brother, Andre, and I to deliver him food and sit with him so he wasn't lonely. We couldn't understand much of what he said, as he mostly spoke Italian, but he was happy we were there. We laughed, nodded our heads, and then went back to Grandad to let him know how happy he was. Even when he was in Adelaide getting treatment and we would stay at Grandad and Nana's place, he still insisted getting up and cooking us Mario's favourite pasta recipe for tea. You were determined and you wouldn't let it get you down. Grandad would always tell us how incredibly proud he was of us, what a good job we were doing, and to always keep going. I remember building our first house. Grandad and Nana would come up and see the progress or have a barbecue. Grandad was never one to sit still, so off he popped, and there he was, riding along, doing the mowing for us. I'll be forever thankful that my children were able to grow up and have you in their lives, and all the wonderful memories of times they shared with you. An amazing role model who showed love and respect and was always present. Grandad absolutely adored his great-grandchildren. We will always carry on your traditions, especially at Christmas, eating your favourites, ginger and pasta. Grandad just loved pasta. If he could, he would have eaten it for every meal. I'm so incredibly grateful for all you have done, the amazing Grandad and Nonna you were. Life wasn't always easy for you, but no matter what, it never changed the amazing spirit you had. Grandad's kind, caring, lovable and thoughtful nature well and truly shines on through Mum. Her dedication and care to Grandad and Nana has been undoubtedly the very best. From the moment she would wake to the moment she would sleep, she was always thinking of ways to help Grandad, make him comfortable, delicious meals to cook, and make sure the care she provided was amazing. She would bring Grandad out and about, and even recently coming to the kids' soccer. Mum would always discuss with me and ask me my opinion on what was happening, and you always did the right thing, always in the best interest of Grandad's health and what he wanted. His well-being and his happiness has been her number one priority. She shared a special bond with Mum, being his only daughter, and he was so grateful for all she did. He often would say to me, "Gosh, she did good. Mum's amazing," or "That was the best Christmas I ever had," or "How much he loved your meals." The day before you left us, I sat in hospital wishing this wasn't our reality. Leaving was the hardest part, and even when I got home, I just couldn't come to grips that this was it. That this was the very last time I would see you. I knew I had to go back and tell you one more time that I loved you. So that night I went with Dad to pick up Nana. Even though you didn't talk, I knew you could hear me, and I was so glad I went back to see you one last time and tell you I love you. Grandad, I will miss your calls. I will miss coming to visit you. I'll miss listening to all your stories and good advice. I'll miss telling you about all that's happening in my life. I'll miss your sense of humour. I will miss seeing you at the end of the dinner table. I'll miss hearing your voice. But most of all, I'll miss you being here. Thank you for everything. You truly were the greatest. We will now continue to always be there, look after and care for Nana. I love you, Grandad. Kimberly.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosie and today I'm reading on behalf of my beautiful mother-in-law Suzanne. I know I don't need to explain the type of man Dad was, but please bear with me. Telling you all will afford Dad the justice he deserves. Unfortunately, Dad had a sad upbringing. His mother passed away when he was only 5 years of age, and so his pivotal carer in life was gone. Dad endured the following years until he met Mum without parental love and affection. Luckily, he had his siblings, but they were also battling the same struggle. I can never imagine what that would have been like. Mum worked at the local pharmacy in Milton Ulladulla. She was introduced to Dad by his sister Nolly. Dad said he would go into the chemist and ask for something random on a high shelf, so Mum had to climb the ladder just so he could have a better look. Dad was always cheeky. From this moment, Dad's life changed. Dad was embraced by my grandparents, Harold and Claire, and now learnt the true meaning of love. My auntie Margaret, being the youngest, said she would sit on the couch keeping an eye on Mum and Dad and would yell out, "Mum, Joe's kissing Dorothy." Dad had finally found his place. Mum and Dad came to Port Lincoln when I was 1 year old. This is where Dad truly made his mark. We moved to Conrad Street, where we lived a happy childhood with our cousins around the corner. We were lucky enough to live next door to the McClure family, Auntie Sheila, Gary, Diane, Graham and Christine. They were a great support to Mum and us kids while Dad was away fishing. They remain great friends to this day. I have so many fond memories of our years together. In following years, my uncles Bob, Sam and Anthony followed Dad and Uncle Mick to Port Lincoln. We were surrounded by our cousins. Uncle Tory didn't follow the fishing path in life, but we visited him many times in Canberra when going home to Ulladulla to visit family, including Dad's beautiful and cherished sister Daisy. Dad and Uncle Tory were very close in age and together spent years living in a convent. It was very hard for them being so young. Fortunately, they had each other. I never asked Dad why he was called Tiger. I assumed it was because of Dad's loud voice, his awareness, his tenacity and his ability to fend for himself. Some of my life memories are holidays to Ulladulla where we would visit relatives on both Mum and Dad's sides. I think every Italian I passed in the street I was related to. They had very big families back then. I was very young when Dad and Uncle Mick's boat, the St. Michael, went aground on rocks at sea. The person on night watch had fallen asleep. They were so lucky and grateful to the Gibson family who rescued them. Technology in those days was not like it is today. Going out to sea in those small boats was a huge risk. The fishermen were very brave and still are today. Dad endured many extremely rough seas. There was always a story to tell. I remember one story. Dad was on night watch off Wilson's Promontory, and suddenly there was a huge light above the boat that lit up the whole sky. He ran to wake the others. By the time he came back on deck, the UFO had disappeared. I don't think the crew believed him. We were always at the town wharf, watching tuna being unloaded and loved ones saying goodbye and welcome home. Visiting with all the other fishing families of Port Lincoln, they were a united community. Listening to the sked morning and afternoon when Dad called in from the boat to say they were all okay. We all had to be very quiet when the weather forecast was on the news. Dad was a member of the Crows Premiership Club, so on occasions Dad would take us. Here we would have a meal, watch the Crows play and meet some of the old players. It was always a great event, even when the Crows didn't win. Dad appeared on the ABC show The New Inventors. Dad had invented what he called a Burley Trail indicator. It showed you where to throw your bait according to the flow of the tide. Dad didn't win, but won the People's Choice Award from the audience. Dad was very professional. He spoke confidently, and his invention was well received. It was fun being a part of the audience. Christopher marketed the Burley Trail indicator, but Dad's interest was lost when Christopher passed away. I spent 5 wonderful weeks with Mum and Dad and Christopher overseas in Europe, England and Japan. We met up with David and Lindley, who were also travelling. I remember in Japan, Christopher and I had gone shopping and we were to meet at a certain time. We were walking to our meeting point, and there in the distance we could see Dad's white hair in amongst the sea of black hair. That made us laugh. Dad was a loving father. He loved to wrestle with us. We would go on picnics to the beach and spend lots of times with our extended family. Dad expected us to work hard and help Mum. He gave us opportunity and most of all love. When we were out of town, we always had to let him know where we were leaving a place and when we arrived at the next. We were always his priority, and he needed to know we were safe. Through Dad and his career, we were very fortunate to meet many interesting people. He had some important visitors, but took it all in his stride. He had a way with people. Mum cooked them great food. It was always fun and rewarding. I'm sure there was the stress, like, what am I going to cook? Will I have enough food? Anyway, you never would have known. Mum always pulled it off. Mum said on a few occasions Dad had invited guests to dinner without prior notice. She would have to come up with the meal quickly. Lucky she had prawns that could be thawed out quickly, or a plate of pasta. I don't know how she did it. The guests were always very grateful and loved the meal and the jovial time that was shared. One interesting fish buyer from the USA was a magician. He performed some unbelievable tricks in front of us. I was amazed and impressed. Dad was very community-minded. One night, Robert and I received a call. "Get here quick," he said. Dad was at a meeting to get Matthew Flinders' home up and running. They were quorum short, so in a flash, Robert and I were sitting in on the meeting. Nothing would stop Dad when he was on a mission. Another trait of Dad's was he was very impatient, and everything had to be done yesterday. Robert and I were in the throes of shifting house. It still needed a good clean before any shifting could be done. Next thing, Mum and Dad arrived. Dad said, "Where are your brothers?" We shifted in that night. Even the fridge came fully loaded with milk, eggs and all. No worries about Dad. Nothing could wait until tomorrow. I have always admired my dad. He stood high on my pedestal. He made me feel safe, loved and special. Dad was such a generous man with his time for people, his monetary generosity and his genuine interest in helping others reach their own life goals. He inspired all around him and had endless ideas and energy. I loved his cheekiness, his fun, his love for his family and for all of his nieces and nephews. He would do anything for anyone. I was so proud of him and his every achievement in life. He deserved every accolade that came his way. Dad was always loving to Mum. He would always give Mum a kiss when he went to work and when he came home. And of late, Mum did the same to Dad when she went out. They would sit closely on the couch, comfortable and happy. Pretty good after 68 years of marriage. Dad and I have spent some special times together. After Dad stopped driving, I would take him out. Over the years, Dad would drive straight to work or to the marina and not discover all of the progress going on in Port Lincoln. I played his favourite music and together we would discover all of the areas in Lincoln that he hadn't seen. He was amazed. It was sad to drive past Australian bite fisheries. Dad was a founding member. It was once a bustling, successful business, but now is sitting there empty and derelict. We were both speechless. Our first stop on our drives had to be the wharf, which Dad had a special connection to. It never had the vibe, though, of the good old days when fishing thrived. It was so nice each drive we managed to bump into an old friend or acquaintance to chat with. Dad had many battles in life, both personal and business. His life was never easy. There was always constant stress, the loss of our beautiful Christopher, losing his great friend Mario, dealing with his bad health, and many different business challenges. There was always a battle. He always had a plan, though, and worked through like the true champion that he was. Dad did have a good life. He travelled the world. He was loved by so many. He had a great rapport with the Japanese and other fish buyers. He loved hanging out with his cappuccino club, Mario, Hagen, Laurie, Sam, and occasionally a few others. I think he enjoyed all the BS, the reminiscing, and the tall stories that went on. Mum and Dad went to Gerardo and Josepina's house every Wednesday night for approximately 30 years. Mum went to learn Italian, Dad went to eat the amazing food Josepina lovingly prepared. Grazie to you both. There have been so many friends and people that have touched Dad, and he has touched them. It gave Dad great joy when he would drive past the skate park. Dad would see it being enjoyed by so many children and adults. He made this possible through his generosity and care. Over the years, Dad donated to many organisations, charities, people in need where he thought it would help. He would do this without recognition because he cared and he wanted to give back. Through the years, Dad was on many boards and committees. He represented South Australia and the fishing industries all through his career. He hosted many dignitaries, bankers, politicians, an Italian film crew, even the Prime Minister John Howard and Prince Albert of Monaco. He was always in his element. He knew his trade and loved the interaction with these people. There is so much I could tell you about Dad, but it would be as long as another book. I remember telling Dad when he wrote his book with my Uncle David, "You got to have balls." I said, "Dad, you can't call it that." He usually did what I said, but this was his message and it was fine. We were also lucky enough to spend many great times on Dad's pleasure boats. How lucky we were. He loved taking us kids and friends out to enjoy the luxury that he deserved. Dad was just your everyday man. He was a hero to many for many different reasons. I hope he was quietly proud. Dad had a presence about him. Each time I saw him, it brought me joy. He reminded me of Dean Martin. He oozed charm, kindness and compassion. He was strong, motivated and driven. He was humble and wanted everyone to achieve. He loved a good joke, had a great sense of humour and held the conversation at all our family get-togethers. He had so much to contribute. Nothing gave Dad more pleasure than to be surrounded by all of his kids, grandkids and great-grandkids. We were his pride and joy. Dad has always been my hero and mentor. He has shown me strength, how to respect, to be kind and feel empathy for others. To all of our amazing carers, night carers, palliative care and support staff from Matthew Flinders Home Care, you were all amazing and so much appreciated. You all showed Dad great respect, understanding, friendship and care. I feel eternally grateful to you all. To Dad's amazing Dr. K, you went above and beyond. Dad treasured you and so do I. Thank you so much. You are a legend. To Robert, Kimberly, Aaron, Andre, Rosie, my grandchildren, my family, my beautiful cousins, aunties and uncles, and amazing friends who offered love and support to Mum and I, thank you. Thank you to my sister-in-law Caroline, nieces Emily and Jada, who've allowed Christopher to live on through them. You know how much Dad loved and adored you. Caroline, Emily and Jada can't be with us today. They are in France. Your love is shining brightly and your presence is here with us. When Caroline returns, we'll set up a memorial page for Dad where anyone will be able to log in and share their own memories, stories and acknowledgements of time spent with Dad. Thank you to everyone here, those on live stream, those who have visited, phoned, sent messages, sent flowers, provided meals and left public notes and condolence. Your outpour of love and support has been overwhelming and sincerely appreciated. There were many special people Dad shared great camaraderie, respect and friendship with over the years. I won't mention names in case I forget someone. You know who you are, you know how valued you were and that you played an integral part in Dad's life. Thank you. Thank you to Brian Jeffries. You had a special bond with Dad, a mutual respect for each other, and as a team you conquered each and every hurdle in your way. To all of the people who were a part of Dad's life journey, friends, work, colleagues, family, you fulfilled Dad's life and made him the man that he was. To the countless people who stopped me in the street and asked me how Mum and Dad were going, I know his presence about town was missed by so many, and they loved to hear when people were inquiring after them. I hope Dad looked back on his life with satisfaction and pride. Dad was a gentleman, he was intelligent and capable, a motivator, a fighter, a problem solver. He was strong, soft, generous and kind. He was a very emotional man and felt from his heart. I feel very proud, privileged and humbled to have called him my dad. He leaves us all as an icon, a man to be admired, a true legend in his time. Dad, you have been my rock, my pillar of strength. Rest in peace, Dad. Your life's work is now complete. I love you beyond words. Suzanne. I'm now going to read one from my husband and Joe's grandson, Andre. Grandad, I can't believe you are no longer with us. It seems so surreal, but the spot at the head of the table will always be yours. There aren't enough words to explain the person you were. You were foremost a family man. Everything you worked for and lived and breathed was for your family. You always made sure you looked after your family and you always put us first. You were happy if we were happy. I feel so lucky to be your grandson. The love you and Nana had for each other was so special. We love you, Nana, and we will be here for you whenever you need. You were so determined and gave everything in your life the best you could. You always made others feel welcome. You believed in everyone and gave everyone a chance. You achieved so much in your life. Many achievements and generous acts were done quietly. Many were so big that the community, town, state and industry knew all about it. We've heard all the stories, or sometimes the tall stories, as Nana says. We love listening about each part of your long life. I am so proud of you. I'm proud of where your life started to what you became, your energy, passion and positivity. I'm proud of the family, community and companies you built. You always joked that you were the most handsome man in the room and that we were the best looking grandkids and great-grandkids. This was you charming your audience and making us feel good about ourselves. Recently, cousin Cameron shared a video of us fishing together. It reminded me of you in your prime. You were such a strong character, determined, bold, impatient, always going 1,000,000 miles an hour. We all knew where we stood. You were the head of our family, you had our respect, you had the charisma and charm to be this person. A couple of years ago you said to me, you need to call Mario now. And when you spoke like that, everything had to be dropped and done immediately. So I did it. And that means I now work for your great friend Rita. And by being there, maybe it makes me feel connected to you and your legacy. I have so many special memories with you. When we would go fishing, we couldn't just slowly cruise out there and relax. It was full throttle out, get on the tender and get straight into it. It was so much fun. I'm so grateful that my own children, Sadie, Xavier, Sienna and Dominic, were able to have you in their lives. Grandad, I love you and I will miss you every day. Everything reminds me of you because you're part of who we are and that will never change. Rest in peace, Grandad. And to my mum, I know you are going to miss him so much. You have been the rock of our family, and especially over the last few years, your every moment and thought were dedicated to ensuring Grandad and Nana were cared for. Mum, I am so proud of you. I love you. And one final little one, which is from my daughter Sadie. Our Nonna was very kind and loving. He was a nice person to everyone. He brought joy to us. He loved going fishing on big boats and he got very excited hearing when we caught fish too. He always wore his black fisherman's hat everywhere he went. He loved the crows and he loved hearing about us playing sports and how many goals we got. He loved eating lots of pasta with us and he always sat at the end of the table and told us lots of things he did. He loved all of his family so much. We love you, Nonna, and we will miss you.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa and I'm the daughter of David and Lindley. Firstly, I'd just like to start with some words from my mum. Joe Puglisi, my father-in-law, a good friend as well as a father. You were a huge part in our lives, and we will love you dearly. I love that you always showed an interest in everything we did, and you were always keen to hear my fishing stories. You have given us so many great memories that we will treasure forever. Thank you for being the amazing man you were, and the caring, devoted father, grandfather, and great-grandfather you were. I'm very proud that I had the privilege to call you Dad. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love, Lindley. And this is something that I've prepared for Granddad. Growing up in the Puglisi family has been one of the biggest privileges that I will ever experience. Our family foundations have been built on years of hard work and an abundance of love. My granddad, with the help of my Nana Dorothy, helped lay those foundations, and family has always been a core value. Family Christmases have always been one of the highlights. They're loud and full of character. Every Christmas, we'd start at Nana and Granddad's at 9 a.m. for our annual breakfast tradition. On arrival, Nana would be preparing the ginger, and Granddad would usually be perched in his chair with his iconic hat on. Every family get-together, he'd always greet the granddaughters with "There's the best-looking girl in the world." And if you were early, you heard him say the exact same thing to all the ones that arrived after you. That came to be his greeting every time you saw him, and he had the knack of making you feel special as soon as you entered the room. And the boys usually got a "here he is," like he'd been looking for them and waiting for their arrival. Family events for me growing up usually came with a pre-warning from my dad. My granddad, as Kimberly said, had one eye. So after a couple of times of being bumped to the ground, I needed the reminding until I was big enough to stand my ground. You'd say, "Hey, Granddad," wait for him to turn around, and then you'd go in for the hug. My granddad was also a cheeky man. A family gathering wouldn't be a family gathering if he hadn't stirred up Nana in some way. To whatever he did to get a response, it would usually follow with a "Oh, Joe." And if you were there watching him, he'd turn to you, smile, and give you a wink. Later on in his life, Granddad had to watch his diet, and of course Nana was there to give him healthy food. Although he had a tendency to sneak treats when nobody was watching. But the big trail of crumbs leading back to his chair and around his mouth was always a dead giveaway. Again, if he got caught out and you were there to witness, he'd turn to you, smile, and give you another wink, like it was our secret. Grandad loved his post in the dining room. He'd sit there day in and out and watch the boats in the bay with his binoculars. On separate occasions, my brother and I were in one of the boats squatting out the front of Nana and Grandad's. We had the exact same experience. We pulled up out the front, dropped the anchor, and then with a couple of minutes our phone started ringing. Sure enough, it was Grandad. We answered and then looked up to the window to see him standing there with his binoculars. The conversation would always go something like this. "Yeah, hi, love, you're in the wrong spot." "Okay, move a little bit to the left." No, you're winding too fast." Anyway, we always went home with empty buckets, and he'd always blame the lure. But we were able to hang out with Grandad from afar. Over the years, there were always funny and memorable moments with Grandad. A fair few of them for me revolved around technology. His loud wolf whistle text tone grew to be as iconic for Grandad as his captain's hat, and he thought it was pretty nifty. Grandad would also commonly pocket dial or accidentally hit call with his big netting thumbs. One time I had to explain to Grandad who Charlie Sheen was and that he was not trying to add him as a friend on Facebook. And another time I was in Darwin explaining over the phone how to take down his password that he'd accidentally posted on his Facebook story. He'd also tagged me in photos of people I didn't really know that well. But no matter what, he was always trying to stay connected with his family, especially those living away. Grandad was also so proud of the paths we chose in life. I'll never forget the Christmas when Flair became a doctor. He was so excited. Flashback to my uni days, I'd just started a degree in psychology honours, and within a semester I'd changed to business marketing. I got a bit of pressure from the board of my college because it was considered a step down and an easy option, and I've always been hard on myself. But when I told Grandad, I'll never forget when his face lit up and he said, "That's what I did." We shared common ground, and then he continued to share his stories and life lessons. When I started managing the surf shop, he always wanted to talk shop, and he was always so impressed about how many girls were working there. He was always so proud. In return, I am so proud of my Grandad and his generosity throughout his life. But I really felt his and my nana's positive impact about 10 years ago now. I was eating lunch in my college cafeteria, and one of my Loxton friends asked me from across the table if I knew a Christopher and Diane. She explained that her dad had leukemia treatment in Adelaide, so her family stayed in the cancer support home that they had donated. It was for people from the country who needed financial and housing support during their cancer treatment. I explained their relation to me and that it was actually my Grandad and Nana who had donated the home and named it in Auntie Diane and Uncle Christopher's honour. That was just one family that Nana and Grandad had a positive impact on, and I couldn't even fathom how many more their generosity has helped since then. I could list off so many memories, but the one that will always stay with me was when I interviewed Grandad for a school project. He had listed so many life achievements and acts of generosity, but when I asked him what his biggest achievement in life was, he said his biggest achievement in life was his family. Grandad, you created a legacy throughout your life that has enriched all those around you, and for that I will always be thankful. Thank you for your humour, for the love and support you gave us all, and for the opportunity you provided our family. You are a beautiful, kind and generous man, and you were dearly loved. I'm so proud I got to call you my Grandad, and I'm grateful for all the time we had. We will miss you every day.
I have a final message from David. The images that you're about to see in this slideshow flashed through Dad's mind as his life came to an end. The songs to be played with the slideshow rang out loud as he drew his final breath. These are my forever songs. We all love you, Tiger.
What we gonna do? What we gonna do? What we gonna do when the money comes through? What we gonna say? What we gonna say? What we gonna say when the money goes away?
There's a hole in my pocket where all my money goes. There's a hole in my pocket where all my money goes. Money means problems and I got lots of those. Oh, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen on the first of the year? I'll say what's gonna happen on the first of the year. The government money is gonna disappear. Oh, what am I gonna do? What we gonna do? What we gonna do? What we gonna do when the money comes through? What we gonna say? What we gonna say? What we gonna say when the money goes away? There's a hole in my pocket where all my money goes. There's a hole in my pocket where all my money goes. I spend every penny buying baby clothes. Oh, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? What we gonna do when the money comes through? What we gonna say? What we gonna say? What we gonna say when the money goes away? What we gonna say when the money goes away? What we gonna say when the money goes away?
We're the short version. You have to excuse us because we don't speak well in public. So if we break down and cry, I'll instigate a round of applause for Dad. All right, way to go.
Okay, thanks to everyone for turning up. It's thank you for your relationship you've all shared with Dad. Fantastic. I wasn't sure what to say, but and a lot of it's been all covered. But what I will say is Dad was a great storyteller, an amazing storyteller. He'd talk about his history and his experiences with all of you guys and his visions. If you knew him, he never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And he'd always add sugar, but he didn't need to add sugar because he had such a meaningful life with Mum and all of us. The story started at childhood and they got bigger as we got bigger. I remember smoke-filled gullies, stories over the kitchen table, in the net shed. They were pretty colourful. And they weren't always happy and they were always colourful, but sometimes they were tragic. And the stories explained his hardships and successes. One great time in Dad's life, we shared with a business with a lovely family, the Wallers. there were successes and there were hardships. And it was during one of these times of hardships, he would frequently visit his dear friend Mario Valcic and Hagen Stier. We named them the Cappuccino Club. The hardships become successful, and we eventually sold the company, and the Cappuccino Club moved down to Dad's office in the marina. Further down the track, when we couldn't trust Dad's driving anymore, we would pick him up and take him down to the office, and the people, like his great friend Jack Camilla, would visit. There was numerous fishermen. It was great. And the stories went on. Sadly, Mario died, and the stories went a bit quiet. I continued to go to the office with my two wonderful friends, Ian Fuller and Kenny Martin, and it wasn't long after that we asked the old man to join our soiree. David would pick him up, and I would have the pasta waiting. Then it all started again, the food, the wine and the stories. It was great for him. Dad looked forward to these days so eagerly, and it gave Mum some respite. Dad was at the helm once again. So from deep within my heart, and on behalf of my father and my family,
it's the first time you ever heard Bugs shut up. Sorry, I had to lighten the load a bit here. That was the first.
So from deep within my heart, and on behalf of my father and my family, thank you for sharing your life with him. He loved us all.
There you go.
You got one too. Where is it?
I had it here a second ago.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I didn't know that.
I did a quick one. Our dad was hopeless with a phone, as you sort of gathered a minute ago with the girls. He always had Andre and Cameron nearby. Oh, fix this. So put that number in, put that number. Mario taught him some sort of bloody stupid thing years ago to do double A. It put everything to the top of the list. That really stuffed things up. But anyway, I think he just wanted people around him doing things, fixing up stuff for him. When he had the phone, he'd get a call, and the call would ring, and he'd go, "Oh, piece of crap," he said, "that doesn't bloody... Son, something's wrong with my phone." So he was never good with the phone. Anyway, I picked up his phone one day and it had 30-odd messages there. I said, "Dad, you got all these voice messages?" I said, "You going to check them?" He said, "I wouldn't know how." And I said, "Well, you on your phone messages, Joe Puglisi here, leave a message. And, that was it." I said, "You shouldn't even have that on there." So I said, "We changed it." But he had the worst, the kids pointed it out, he had the worst ringtone. So you'd be sitting somewhere and you'd be going like this, or he'd be looking for any bloody pocket, and you're going, "Oh, was that embarrassing?" Anyway, this was his message then. It says, "It's Joe Puglisi here, don't leave a message, call me later." So, on that, Dad's getting buried with his phone today, and I ask you, take your phone out and turn it on now, please. Everybody get your phone out, because we're going to ring him and leave an eternal message for him. You can tell him what you think, how much you love him. So his phone's on, there's plenty of charge. He might not get range in the grave, but please, this will be with him forever. Thank you very much. I love you, Dad. Mum, it's Neptune. Yeah, he's His pronouns are king and god of the sea. Yeah, we're just about finished. Yeah, oh, okay. You know, Hagen's still alive. You look after Dad. We love you. Bye-bye.
That'll be fine. Thank you, David and Buggers as well. So as you all know, Joe truly has lived a life to his fullest, and he has left memories and a legacy that will last forever. Everyone is going to have their own very special memories of your Joe, of time spent with him. Joe's had an amazing life. He's lived, he's laughed, he's loved, he's still getting messages now. He was larger than life, and this passing makes it truly hard to grasp, apparently, that he's gone. As cliche as it is, at a time just like this, we do all have to go on, and life weirdly does. Knowing that it doesn't make it any easier, but with the love and support of family and friends, each day will hopefully get a little easier for all of you. Joe will never be forgotten, and so now we must bid Joe farewell. We are so conscious of the things that really matter in his life, as Joe has done. Love your family and love your friends. Be grateful and live on well with each other every single day. In committing the body of Joseph, Puglisi, Joe, or possibly Tiger, to be privately buried, I do so with deep reverence and love. We give thanks for Joe's life. We remember him with gratitude, his pride and infinite love for his family, his friends, and also for his community. Joe, we honour your life, your memory we cherish, we grieve your death. But we remain in gratitude simply for your life and the privilege in sharing it with you. Tenderly, lovingly, and respectfully, we now say farewell to Joe. Apparently, all okay, over and out, our hero will now be leaving the building. Joe, please dance with the waves, and now move with the sea, and let the rhythm of the water now set your soul free. So family and friends, this does conclude our service for Joe, and thank you for your attendance. And please be advised earlier, a private family burial will soon take place. I'm going to invite pallbearers to come forward. Everyone here is going to have the opportunity to farewell your Joe outside our waiting hearse. Joe's family also look forward in catching up with you all at the Port Lincoln Hotel from 12:30 through to 1 and onwards, to raise a glass in the honour and to enjoy some refreshments and many more special memories of his life. Can I please ask you to stand, and can I please ask you to keep on sending your messages through before our private burial.
One, two.